Happy Friday, newsies! It is I, Becca Hector, and I am back here with this installment of Neurodiversity Newsstand. I'm back, you guys. So, big week for me this week. I had a crazy productive week. I don't know why, but I've been like super crazy depressed, and you like sort of been following that and everything and trying to get my life all organized. Um, and I think I might have just finally shifted. I think I might have recovered enough that I've shifted out of that. And this week I was super duper productive and it felt really good. In the last like 7 days or so, I've just gotten through a huge list of things I've really been looking to get to. So if you're waiting for something from me, chances are I got to it this week. And so I'm finally feeling better, I guess, in terms of my mental health and my physicality, even though I feel like I might be getting a cold. But let's not talk about that because I have to travel in a couple of days, like 2 days. So that would really stink. Okay, so let's not talk about that part. What else can I tell you? Oh, I know. Okay, how about a hair update? Because Lord knows I am living with this gray piece that is coming in. I'm trying. I mean, you can see it's coming. It's here. And my whole thing about this growing out my gray is please, 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 please let me have a cool stripe. And I think that I have one. I'm so excited, you guys. I think I might actually have one. I'm going to try and not make ridiculous faces and show you where it is, but it's somewhere up here. Oh, that's part of it. Can you see it right there? It's like a stripey right in there. So I hope I have a really cool stripe because that's half the reason that I'm growing it out is just to see if I have one. And I think I might have it. So exciting. About 3 months. I think I'm 3 or almost 4 months into not coloring my hair, but that's where I'm going. So yeah, that's exciting for me. That was a discovery last night. I made Antonio have to look at my stripe that I think might be a stripe yesterday. And I don't know, I'm just feeling pretty upbeat. We've got some cool things happening this weekend just in like dog world over here and in boarding dog world. We're doing a dog social, so I'm looking forward to seeing everybody and my favorite dogs this weekend. And then I have to travel. I'm traveling next week for a big annual meeting. It's like a once a year in-person meeting that I'm part of a board that I have to go do that. So I'm looking forward, I guess, to taking a break and doing what I do when I travel, which is I take advantage of the plane and I try to read books that are physical and not necessarily on my phone, and I try to write on the plane. So I have a couple of projects that I'm working on that I'm excited about. So I'm going to try and use some of that plane time for writing. What else? I really have no other kind of exciting news. I just I'm feeling less oppressed right now because my list was getting really out of control and I just needed to get my butt kicked into gear, and I did. So yay. News this week. Let's move on to this week's news. How do I feel about the news this week? It was happily slow. Sometimes we get news weeks where it's like when Greta was on fire and it was like every 2 seconds was another article on Greta, but it was Greta all the time. This week, it was nice and slow. And so the few pieces that came out and stuck out really were well received, I think, because it was that kind of week. There wasn't a lot of duplication and there wasn't a lot of big kind of catch our attention news this week. So let's take a look at what we did have. And I think we're going to start out with probably the one I feel most complicated about, but it is probably the one that received the most attention this week, I would say globally, probably. And that is that Trump signed the Autism Cares Act of 2019. That's a big deal. That's a lot of money. It's $1.8 billion worth of funding that he just signed in. Fortunately, the parties that have been working to get that money kind of here in the U.S. kind of put into an Autism Cares Act are just, that work has been long coming. It's not new Trump era stuff. And so I'm hoping to see that this money goes to some of the really big initiatives that organizations like IACC have been working on with the government. And so that stuff is the things that get funded, because I know we're pushing for a lot of quality of life research in the community. And because that's what we're looking for, and it's not quite quantifiable in a very black and white way, we're having struggles with getting funding. We're having struggles with getting folks to get off the genetics bandwagon and get onto more of a social responsibility premise in terms of research. So I hope to see it going to good places. I know people are already asking, where is it going to go? Is it allocated to certain places, to certain parts of the spectrum? And people are already beginning that stuff. And of course, because Trump is the one that signed it in, people wouldn't stop talking about it. And so I hope that we can all step back and remember that it's a really big step forward to get that much money under the umbrella of autism research. That's a big deal. And so we need to take our celebrations when we get them, and try not to get derailed on arguments about what we do, right? And just know, okay, we had a win here, and let's build off that win. That's at least the attitude that I'd like to take, because I don't have the spoons to waste on toxic energy, and I don't want to live my life that way. So in order to stay aligned with myself, I am going to steer clear of any political stuff like this, and just be grateful that there was a win in the community. So yay on that. The next article I want to talk about is the one that I actually was the most interested in this week. And that came out of the UK. I think it might have been Canada. Can't check, because, I still haven't done that extra stupid screen that I want to do so I can look at the articles when I talk to you. But I will check that out afterwards. But, I always put the links in the description. So regardless, you'll see the actual link. But this came out as a science research type thing. Simon Baron-Cohen back in the news, talking about autism and neurodiversity. And the title of the article was "Neurodiversity is the Next Frontier, but are we failing autistics?" Right? But we are failing autistics was the title. I knew I couldn't read my handwriting there for a second. So basically in that article, he talks about how in the last 10 years, we've improved awareness and understanding of autism, which is great, but we haven't seen anything come of that improved awareness and understanding. So basically nothing has really changed down on the ground on like living life level of autism in 10 years here in the States. And so at least, and probably all over, right? So it's the difference between knowing something about it and doing something about it. And we are very much at the you should be doing already phase, but we are not seeing that in reality. And that's what his piece is about, for the most part. But it's a great piece about him. I thought it was the most interesting thing that we had come out this week, in terms of juiciness and truth telling and kind of a real temperature taking of what's going on in our community. The next piece that I want to talk to you guys about, I thought was also cool, and I pulled this one from LinkedIn and over into the Facebook group because I wanted to make sure that everybody kind of got a chance to talk about it. So it was an article on LinkedIn based about remote work and hiring for remoteness. So instead of thinking to yourself, well, I can't hire for remote, I want to make sure they're doing their work, I want to make sure this is happening, or thinking to yourself, I have a physical office, everyone needs to physically be here. And so that those mentalities in business are changing. And what we need to be doing is thinking more about remote work and hiring for remote work, hiring employees that want remote work, especially because it evens the playing field for many of us with disabilities. Certainly not having to travel to work every day or worry about the components of our disability that kind of adds to it, having to travel to an office. This way, you get to do your job from home and in the comfort of your own home. And for many of us, that keeps us more focused and actually more productive than we would be in a physical workplace. So I love this article. I just like that in the business world, in the temperature taking of LinkedIn and what's being shared, remoteness is being talked about nonstop. And autistics, I tell you, remote work is hour into employment. If we can snag the remote workplace right now, if we can figure out how to do it, how to build the businesses for remote working, that is coming. It is all coming, and we can be ourselves, and we can work with our strengths if we choose remote work or working for self. And so, because businesses are not changing fast enough, but they're catching on. And so remote is being talked about a lot. In fact, I've seen a few articles actually on LinkedIn talking about just physical workplaces just being on the decline, just not going to be happening for very much longer. And that makes me, as an autistic person, feel thrilled, because I have figured out how to work remotely and how to do that well. And a bunch of us have. And I think when the jobs begin to open up, we will be some of the best choices. So that article came out, that was on LinkedIn, and I will share that in the description. For some happy, creative, exciting news, I thought this great piece was shared by the Thinking Person's Guide to Autism. It's one of my favorites. And on Thinking Persons, they shared about an artistic collaboration across neurotypes. So it was a truly neurodiverse artistic collaboration. Non-autistics with autistics creating art based on object. Really fascinating. The final film is actually there for you to watch. It's called the NUNO project. And that is being really an interesting way to look at the approach to art, and how our different ways of looking at the world kind of, I want to say, make objects important to us. And I thought it was really interesting. So take a look at that one, because I thought that was a cool project that they went ahead and did. What else? Infamous yellow pad. What else? Blog this week came out that I loved. We all loved. We shared a bunch. It was all over the place. And that came from Seeking Sarah, an Autistic's Journey. And if you're watching or listening or anything, Sarah, this was a great piece. We all loved it. I hope it went viral on you. I hope you're getting great feedback on it. It just your wording and your just all of it. It was really, really great and appreciated by our community tons. And so what she did was she wrote a piece called When You Don't Believe I'm Autistic. And she tackles the response that we get to disclosure, and why, going through that process is so taxing, I guess. But her perspective is great. Her snarkiness, which she is clear she's going to be snarky throughout the whole thing, and it is on point, girl. So I enjoyed it. I think a bunch of us did, because we all shared it all over the place. So that was great. What else? Oh, Judy Endow's book, Autistically Thriving. It is still in pre-orders, but it is at the printer, I believe she said. And so she's out sharing that. It is called Autistically Thriving by Judy Endow, and it's about working with, living your life along with your neurology instead of fighting against it. And I think it's great. I have my pre-order in. I hope you guys do too. I will leave a link for that for you guys in the description to Judy Endow's book. Again, it's called Autistically Thriving. And then last but not least, in terms of blogs, the blog I was talking to you guys about last week, in fact, the piece of writing that kicked off my very, very, very productive week is actually out. It came out yesterday. It came out yesterday. I shared it a bunch of places. I will put it in the description. And it is called Success: Creating a Life You Don't Need a Vacation From. So it is my stuff. It is the stuff that we've worked on in the F Word. It is the stuff that I talked about in No BS. It is all accumulation of my kind of learning. And so this is the beginning of the window in, and it's sort of a teaser to get you excited if you're able to attend the A and E presentation I'll be giving. I'll be doing a keynote for them on November 16th in Boston. So if you're near the area and you want to see me in person, you can. It's not often that I leave my hidey hole here in the mountains, and so I'll be doing that in November. And if you like what you read in the blog, maybe you'll come see me there. But because I'm all like meaty and excited and into doing this talk, because I talk about living a self-defined life on the spectrum, and that's what I want all of us to be able to do. I want to empower all of the other autistics to live the best life for them. and I want to teach them how to do it because I figured out how. And I think that's so neat. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about, is how to do that. And so what I've done is give you a nice little teaser piece on the concept here in the AANE newsletter, and that's the blog I was talking about last week. It's out. I'm going to put it in the description. Have a read, share it about, let me know what you think, of course, because coming from that piece and coming from that material, I am hoping to start to be able to offer some courses in how to do this and how to, from home, how to do this on your computer without having to go somewhere and pay a lot of money for a big course. And so it's my way of taking what I did in one-on-one coaching and giving it back to you guys without needing to try and get in my calendar, I guess. But yeah, so keep a lookout. I'm hoping to have a launch of at least one course by the end of that speaking engagement, so by mid-November. So take a look at the success piece that I wrote. It's going to be in the description. If you like it, know that I have courses and stuff that I'm putting together and hoping to get out to you guys by the end of the year. So that's it for me here at Neurodiversity Newsstand. I am Becca Hector, your host of Neurodiversity Newsstand in the Facebook groups, in the LinkedIn groups. If you are not yet subscribed to this channel, please take the chance now to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you like it, a thumbs down if you don't, and please leave me comments. I promise I read and answer them all, and your input helps me to do this better. So again, if I missed anything you thought I should have talked about, if there was a meme I missed, or an event that you want publicized, or if you've got a book coming out or some article you want shared, make sure you're sharing it in the group, because I go through there and I literally pluck those things out for our Friday kind of vlog here. So I do read the comments, and I'm looking forward to reading them this week. You guys have an amazing weekend. I intend to myself, and I will see you next Friday for the next installment of Neurodiversity Newsstand. Bye, guys.